Uh, yeah.
Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining us one more night on the Friday night panel. Tonight we have a special guest joining us, Lou Eisen, boxing historian, and the fellow who gives us those controversial fight recaps every Sunday. Done a fantastic job, but he's got a new book coming out. He's going to talk about it, and his upcoming interview with Russell Peltz. But before we do all that, over to you, Mike.
Let's get the bills paid, guys, right? That's what we do it here. Yep. Well, guys, today's episode is being brought to you by the BetStamp app, which is helping thousands of people win at sports betting for free. The same way travelers use Google Flights or Expedia to find the best prices, bettors can now use BetStamp to do the same. When you place a bet, the odds given by a sportsbook will determine how much you can possibly win, even when betting on the same outcome. Different sportsbooks will offer varying payouts, and these differences can be huge. Thankfully, BetStamp allows you to easily line shop the most profitable odds across all sportsbooks. You can click on any matchup and instantly see all the different odds for game lines, player props, and even future bets. Line shopping is the simplest way to find an edge in sports betting and maximize your chances on winning long term. And on average, BetStamp users win an extra $1,000 plus yearly just by line shopping. And guys, you can find that BetStamp app on your Apple iOS store, Google Play Store, or through the browser at www.betstamp.app. To access all these benefits, sign up using promo code TalkinFight and start your journey to successful sports betting today. And if you forget to use our code upon sign up, you can always go and enter our code in the BetStamp account settings afterwards, guys. So go check that out. Again, www.betstamp.app/TalkinFight, or, you can always hit up our QR code right here. Perfect. So now that we got that out of the way and the bills are all paid, let's talk about them.
All right. Hey, Lou, why don't you start us off with a bit of a recap for those viewers who may not know you, what you've been up to for us on Talkin' Fight every Sunday.
First of all, I color coordinated my shirt tonight with my shirt. So I hope
because we're those kinds of guys.
Yes, and speaking of BetStamp, I didn't know this till recently, but friends of mine made a lot of money betting on my first marriage. They took the under and the over-under. So that
I wonder what were the odds on that one?
I think it was 15-1 against, but you could take the over-under between 20 years or more. So most of my friends took the under
the first,
and it lasted 17 years. So they wiped up.
They cleaned up. It sounds like pretty good.
Yeah, I got wiped out, but they
which is why you're in that jumpsuit.
Yes, that's right. That's why I went to Millhaven and now I'm back. Let me get So on Sundays, what I do is I do. It's kind of sad that I don't remember the name of my own show, but it's Ring Talk.
Ring Talk,
and we thank you. We look at fights from the past and talk to and find out controversial fights and find out what really happened. And what I've been doing recently, I've been speaking to a lot of authors. So a couple of weeks ago, I had William Detloff on, and he had his new book out on the great Matthew Saad Muhammad. And coming up, we got Christopher LaForce in a couple of weeks. And I think next week, and he'll be talking about his new book on Tommy Ryan, the former welterweight middleweight champ, and Joe Kowinski. And then I got Randy Roberts, who's been on every Ken Burns PBS special. He was in the one about Ali. He was in the one about Joe Louis and the Civil War. And he's written about Ali and Joe Louis and boxing extensively. Brilliant man, Pulitzer Prize winner. And Nigel Collins published Ring Magazine and now at Ringside Seat. He'll be talking about his book in July, Hooking Off the Jab. And this Sunday, we have this gentleman, Russell Peltz. And this is his book, and $30 in a cut eye. And Russell's from Philadelphia, which is why I was hoping Tim would be here tonight, because Russell, worked with everyone. Mike Rossman, Matthew Saad Muhammad, Yaki Lopez, bantamweight champ, Jolton Jeff Chandler, Bam Bam Hines to beat Matthew Hilton, and Eddie Mustafa Muhammad. Worked with a lot of light heavyweight champs. He worked with everyone, Roberto Duran, and he's in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Just a great raconteur and a great book. And he doesn't shy away in the book from talking about mob involvement, especially in Philadelphia. And, it's nothing you could do about it. It's just, it was there. And he got along with them because it was expedient.
So out of curiosity, just a quick little question here. I think it was back in 1976 when I saw the first Rocky movie.
Mhm.
Might have been 75, but I'm just kind of curious. Was Russell like part of the scene back then, or was he still a kid?
He was in the scene back then. On the back cover, picture of him as a young man putting up posters when he got into boxing.
Wow.
Because what he did, he was working for the Philadelphia Bulletin, a newspaper, and he wanted to get the boxing beat. And they said, no, this guy who's in his late 70s, he wants to stay there. And he said, but I'm a young guy and I can travel. No. And so he had enough of that, and he just started to go to fights and write about them. And then what happened was he just, he got sucked into it because he loved it. And then he started to promote his own fights at the Blue Horizon and then at the Philadelphia Spectrum. So
Wow.
he worked with a lot of, over 50, I guess, world champions. And he had a fighter that was ranked #1 in the world, Tyrone Everett. And it's the story in the book. It's kind of sad. He was a lightweight, and he was going to get a title shot. This is, I guess, mid to late 70s. And he called to tell him, hey, you're getting a title shot. And his wife answered and said, I don't think so. I just shot him in the head.
Holy shit.
And what do you mean he shot him in the head? I think he was unfaithful. So that was it. He was done. And then there were different fighters he had. That one guy was coming back from Vietnam and had PTSD. So he would help the guy. The guy'd be nice. And other times the guy'd be nuts. So, but he started to put fights on, and he would deal with different people. Jeff Chandler had a mob manager who disappeared one day, and Russell was good friends with him. Just no one ever. They found his empty Cadillac, never found him, and so he brought in Becky O'Neill, who his real name I think was Barenbaum, and she was 4'8", and she acted as the manager because her husband had a criminal record for killing someone, and couldn't be the front manager, and ended up helping him get to a world title. He's going to talk about how he's able to succeed in that particular world.
Wow.
Thick with.
So are you saying he competed with?
No, he worked
or against the mafia.
No, he had to deal with them. His dealings were above board, but by the same token, that they're unavoidable.
Right. Right. So
you have to deal with them. You have to pay them their percentage. And he was mentioning, I think in the other, Nigel Collins is coming on soon, one of my favorite people. And
right.
He was saying how when he started to manage fighters before he became a writer, that one of the other managers was a mob guy, and they split their 10-20%, and the other 70-80%, the trainer and the fighter did what they wanted to do. And he said the great thing about being in league with a mob guy is you're guaranteed to get your pay.
Huh.
No one screws with you. The trainer or the fighter can't say, I'm not giving it to you. And Nigel once said that the fighter went up and picked everyone's pay, like the manager's pay and trainer's pay. He wouldn't give it back. And this mob guy just said, I think you're going to give it back. And he just handed the money, signed a check over immediately.
So are you going to discuss with Russell whether the mob is still active today?
Probably. I mean, how he deals with it. It definitely is still active today.
Right.
In many forms.
Right.
In my book, which I just sent to the publisher today, the thing about I mentioned, and I was warned by a lot of people, Angelo Dundee in particular, he said, if you're going to talk about the mob in boxing, you should really stop in the early 60s, because all those people up to that point are gone. So you're several generations removed. And he said, this was 212. He said, they're still there. I just wouldn't mention it.
Right.
Because they don't appreciate it. So the way it works now, Bob Arum was saying, is that what happens is you sign a fight, he signs a fighter to a title fight or a big fight. And you get the fighter's fee, and you get the manager's fee, and there's an advisor named Vinny, and he gets his 200 grand. And if you don't pay him, you don't get the fighter.
Right.
And that's just part of doing business.
Right.
And a lot of these sanctioning bodies, are comprised of convicted felons. But a mutual friend of ours who's been good to me was on the internet the other night saying how much he loves the sanctioning bodies. And I remember when Angelo said to me, you gain nothing by arguing with someone, who's connected. If they have that kind of power behind them, what do you gain by making your point? He said, I knew that Liston had his gloves tampered with the first time he fought Ali. I knew they put Tiger Bomb on them. But my brother Chris said, why mention it? You want them to come and kill you and your family? Just say, it was sweat or whatever. You don't gain anything by bad-mouthing these people. And they'll never get, as William Detloff said, it's been in the sport for 300 years. You'll never get rid of it. The only difference with the mafia, as we know it in North America, is they, starting from Dempsey Carpentier in 21, they made it an organized North American-wide organization. Whereas before you had gambling syndicates and local cities would go and threaten fighters to lose. Then the mob it wasn't worth it to the mob because the pay was so little. To them, Tommy Burns getting 30 grand to fight Jack Johnson, it's going to cost them more to set guys up to rob them than they're going to get. But when you have Carpentiers and MC making millions, and then you have the concessions and then the film rights, then you get in 2, 3, 4, 5 million, then it's worth it for the mob.
So is that why there's such a split or a fragmentation in the industry today?
I think that, not until you just said that now, but that's a good reason, because that makes a lot of sense. Because I don't like all the different sanctioning bodies. I liked it better when everyone liked everything better when they grew up because they were younger and healthier. But you had 8 champions, 8 divisions. Everyone knew who the world champion was.
Right.
Well, the only benefit to all these organizations is that more fighters make more money, but there's also more criminals involved making more money. The WBC always says, well, we're collecting money and we're giving money to all these boxers in need. But every time I asked Jose Suleiman or his son, Maurizio, or anyone there, can you name me one boxer who fought for you, your organization, that you give money to? It's not your business. Well, I would think you'd want to be proud and promote that. It's just not your business.
Yeah, good point.
So, and I remember someone getting angry at me for talking about the IBF, and they said they're the most upfront, honest organization. I said, there's like 25 of their guys are in prison doing time, including the former president, Bob Lee.
Wow.
And boxing's open. The question people always ask, why boxing? And because there's no centralized body.
Right.
So it's easier to take over. So it's frustrating. But that criminal element's always been there.
Always been there. And, we have a lot of interesting situations today with respect to, shall we call them, free agents who are commanding a lot of, and several of those fights are upcoming, So I have to wonder how much as you described them, the criminal element have to do with these bodies and management companies, and now the various licensing fees with respect to broadcast rights and live streaming rights. Right. So who is really controlling all of this? Well, money going back and forth.
Well, that's a great point, because sanctioning bodies are really places to launder money for criminals, right? Wow. That's basically what they're doing. Because, in my book, for instance, I have a chapter on the Ken Buchanan fight with Roberto Duran in 72. Duran hit him low after the bell in the 13th round, deliberately fractured his testicle, and the referee awarded the fight to Duran. And when I spoke to Angelo Dundee, he said, I don't think it was a mob fight. I just think the referee was a moron. And he refereed my fighters' fights. I didn't want him. He was stupid. But what can you do? But when you look at that, Buchanan held WBA, WBC titles.
Here, like he's here.
And he wanted to fight Duran because Duran was the guy he makes the most money with. But the WBC kept saying, you can fight Duran, but you're going to have to pay us, this fighter of ours, who's ranked 25th, $50,000 step aside fee.
Right behind him.
Right? And so he pays the $50,000 step aside fee. Then the WBC says, we want another $100,000. And finally, Buchanan just said, take your belt and shove it. You're just extorting money from me. You don't want me to fight Duran, who's the biggest money fight out there. You want me to fight your guy who's not even ranked. And that still goes on.
Tim, welcome. Welcome back, champ.
Right on, Tim.
Sorry.
You're looking healthy.
Yeah, I've been training hard. Hey everybody, how you doing? I've been training hard. I've been teaching a couple of boxes, but what happened with me was my daughter had a change in job and had to babysit my grandkids.
That must
And
be
the babies, I should have called one time, twice. I could have came on, but I forgot. Yeah, so today she's off and she got the grandkids. So at a certain time, I got to watch them at this particular time. Ain't there something? So
Well,
you know what?
So in a couple of maybe a month and a half, it'll be all good.
But at this particular time, let me just introduce you there, Lou. So Tim, out of curiosity, do you know Russell Peltz?
I know him real good.
Well then, in that case, you'll be interested to know that the fellow we have on screen with us right now, Lou Eisen, is about to interview Russell Peltz about his book called $30 in a Cut Eye. So we've been having a great chat so far with Lou, who's a boxing historian and an author.
Hey Lou, how you
himself.
doing?
How you doing? I've spoken with you before. Yeah, Russell
was kind of tough. Listen, Russell was kind of tough when negotiating and talking about giving like boxers like little breaks and stuff. And it made the boxer stronger. I don't know. I know you wrote the book. It made this boxer more hungrier because he didn't get breaks like a lot of the promoters did. He made you. Am I right? He made you fight that fight. I don't know about bonuses and all that, but he made you work for it.
Yeah, he worked with Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Bam Bam Hines, who I said beat
Bam Bam Hines. I was Eddie's sparring partner.
He also worked with Saad Muhammad. If it was up to me,
Jeff Chandler.
Yeah, Jolton Jeff Chandler, who I think it's criminal that more people don't know how truly brilliant a fighter he was. He was the undisputed bantamweight world champion.
He was good. He's really not doing really good right now. Right. I seen him about a couple of months ago, but everybody was talking about it. He's not communicating that good.
And he had Mike Rossman. And
the Jewish bomber. I was sparring him. I was in the same gym with him. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
The saddest story in the whole book, which had me in tears, was Tyrone Everett, who had he had more talent that Russell said. Nigel Collins, Angelo Dundee told me this kid had more talent than any fighter he'd seen in 50 years. And then he gets murdered by his wife.
Yes.
And it was just sad.
But you know the circumstances, you know what happened, right?
I think she caught him cheating or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then
don't go to bed mad with your wife.
His brother Michael tried hard. Mike Everett tried pretty hard, but he wasn't as sharp as his brother. He was good, but not as good as Tyrone. He was slick and everything. Yup. That's the name you heard was Tyrone Everett back in the day over in Philly, even before I ever started boxing. Wow. Tyrone Everett. Saad Muhammad came on a little bit after that, or around the same time.
Yeah, Angelo said Tyrone Everett. Angelo said when a fighter was great, like yourself, he used one word, special. He said, if you're not special, you can't be in the sport because you'll get hurt. He said Tyrone Everett was special.
He was. He
You know?
was. I wasn't even boxing when he was doing all that big fighting. I just heard of him. Tyrone, and his brother. And then he was Eddie was another one. I don't think he made it that far, but
He
they was
also,
the name in Philly before I started boxing. Tyrone Everett, then Saad Muhammad,
you know, that,
Alfonso Evans. Alfonso Evans
Yeah.
was with you know Alfonso Evans?
yeah, I was reading about that, but yeah, I know all about him. And they, as you know, Russell Peltz did 5 of Marvin Hagler's fights. And one thing that always annoys him is the fact that Willie the Worm Monroe beat him. And all these revisionists online who are 20 or 21 who know nothing about boxing say that he got robbed. He didn't get robbed. Hagler got beaten, and badly, by Monroe. He knocked him out again. He knocked him out in 2 other fights. But in that first fight, Monroe...
I was blessed. I was with Willie the Worm in training camp.
Yeah.
I was in the same gym. Who else did you say? Who else did you say?
Boogaloo Watts.
Boogaloo Watts. I was in training camp with him. The names of you saying, I was around them. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed.
Well, I got to tell you, because
Cyclone Heart.
Yeah, the great Cyclone Heart. And they also, he mentioned something in the book that Angelo said to me, and Nigel Collins said, that in the world of boxing, as you know better than anyone, there's tough, there's super tough, and then there's Philly tough. And Philly tough, Angelo said, is when a guy like Foreman or Liston hits you and you just smile back at him. Those are the kind of guys that have no fear. Bad Benny Briscoe, guys like that, who just, you could look at him and try to give him a stare down. Not going to make a difference what you do.
A lot of it is psychological, and a lot of it is real hard, but it's psychological too. You do the psychological stuff, even though you got that heart. And
right.
You got double things, yeah.
And Russell, when he published the book, published by Benny Briscoe, Benny Briscoe Productions. So it's fascinating. Started in '69 at the Blue Horizon and went to the Spectrum. He also promoted Billy Dynamite Douglas.
Look at Blue Horizon going on time.
Yeah,
Billy Dynamite Douglas, I like that one.
I saw Russell about a month ago. We was at an event. I said hi. We talked about 30 seconds. That was it. I can't believe that I've been around all these great guys, and now I'm here talking about them. And
how many of you?
I'm 2-time heavyweight champ, but I'm just like, I was around all these guys and got knowledge from some of them.
Why don't you write a book? Why don't you have a book on your career?
Well, there was a book, real quick, guys. I don't want to burn up the time. The guy from England wrote a book, but we didn't finish it because I was asking him certain questions, and we wanted to put in everything, like people extorting me, people money and guns and knives. He didn't want to put that guns and people being threatened. He didn't want to put that in there. So. Yeah, when I told him, I said, look, man, there's a lot of stuff about the mob. There's a lot of stuff about this and that. He got upset. He didn't get upset. He was like, I don't think we should do that. So we stopped talking to each other for about 10 days, 15 days. Next thing you know, somebody from England called me saying that the book is a really nice read. And I said, what? We didn't even finish the book. So he published the book without putting all the mob stuff in it, the other stuff in it. And I'm gonna try to attempt to try to get someone that is even better now, because it's more knowledge now. It's more people. It's more. I met friends after my career, so that will be put in the book. So if somebody try to write a book now, I think it'll be better than that one, because that one was really good. But now, since we waited, it could be a lot better.
Well, in Russell,
he's shaking his head.
Hey guys, can I say something here?
No.
We have to seal the deal over here in the corner. Listen to Mr. Lees, man. Like, I might as well just split. You guys are having a great time. You don't need me around here.
Yes, we do.
Wait a minute.
Oh, okay, all right.
Your hat.
No, wait a minute.
Wait. If we go like this,
the deal gets the microphone.
Now it looks like now they look matching.
Why are you leaving?
I ain't going nowhere. I'm just playing with you.
Oh God.
All
Let me
right, so
take it.
listen,
Let me
I got to
take a
talk to you
drink to
for
that. Let me take a drink.
Lou. I want to say something. Lou, I've been
Yep.
watching your show. Fantastic. I am so
Thank you.
blown away by you, Mr. Lou. It's absolutely amazing. I'm listening to you all the time. You teach me everything all the time. I want to thank you for that. Of course, Mikey Orr over here in the corner down here. We all know Knuckle Up,
That's Big
Bed
Mike.
Stamp, and all that. There's the big boss over there, Grumpy Graham. Right? We know everybody knows Grumpy Graham. And now I get to meet the real deal over here, Mr. Tim Witherspoon, who I've been watching as a young boy, my friend. I watched you every
I'm younger
fight.
than you.
I watched every fight. I've seen every one of them. Nobody can dispute it. And I always wanted to meet a guy like you, the guys of your era. I like you guys, like, the Lennox Lewises, the Larry Holmeses. Oh, hold on. Before I go past that, can you tell me a little bit about that Larry Holmes fight? That's something maybe we don't know. I was always intrigued. Like, Larry Holmes is like Larry Holmes. You know what I mean? And you're Tim
Yeah,
Witherspoon.
he's
That was
beating
a heavy
everybody up.
duty situation.
Well,
What was going on there?
I think
well,
Neil's a little starstruck.
well,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. And I don't, that never happens. Ask anybody. But I'm
That
like,
never happens.
it never
well,
happened. I mean, I
the
met them
thing
all.
is, I had a lot to represent. I was born and raised 10 minutes from where Sylvester Stallone made the movie, The
Yeah,
Rocky. You had
yeah,
all these great boxers from Philadelphia. I'm
yeah,
from South Philadelphia where the Italian and the Irish and the blacks all lived together.
yeah.
Like I said, my mom took me to the Italian market just like he did in the movie. We used to wave to people and say hi and
Wow.
buy groceries. Then I went on to become the two-time heavyweight champion of the world, the Philly
Unbelievable.
shell, all these
Yeah.
different things. I ain't gonna argue about anything. I'm
I
really
wouldn't think
blessed,
so.
just to be a part. So I had a great trainer, and that's who got me there fast.
Who
I
is
only
your
had 7, 8 amateur fights, and I was 22, I think. He got me. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't have made it.
who is your
You
Right,
know,
trainer?
right.
and there's a
He
whole
just was
lot
the
of
one for you.
things. There's a
Who,
lot of things in the city.
who is your
Those
trainer, Jim?
the fans in Philly, man, they crazy. There's other places they crazy, but they support you a lot.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
had a lot on my shoulders. I was young. I had a good. If I
Sure.
didn't have that good trainer, I don't think we'd be sitting
What
here
was his
today.
name? What
Slim
was his name?
Robinson. He trained the
Oh,
Jewish bomber, right? Mike
right. Oh,
Rossman.
yeah,
Mike
he did.
Rossman was in
Wow.
the
Okay,
old
okay. I didn't
Paso
know that.
gym
Yeah,
whipping
Yeah.
everybody butt.
Slim Jim.
Wow.
He was a boxer himself. Didn't he fight Ali at one point
Who, Slim?
in the early '60s?
Slim fought Georgie. He was a middleweight. He fought
Oh,
Georgie
okay,
Benton. He fought
right.
a lot of other
He,
guys.
well, Georgie
Everybody knew him as slick as Slim Robinson, is really slick and smart boxer.
Georgie Benton's one of the all-time great fighters and great trainers too. That there should be a book about. The man was brilliant.
Yeah, they should. They should.
You know.
There's a lot of good people there,
So,
man.
so Tim, I actually remember when you fought James Broad, and then your second defense there was against Bone Crusher Smith, and that was serious, man. Bone Crusher is a bone crusher, is he not? Like, he hit hard, did he not?
Hey, listen. I'm gonna tell you. I'm just
But
gonna
you
tell
took
you
him
the
down in
truth.
the
The
12th.
first time, if you watch the first fight, I nearly shut him out.
Yeah.
I could have knocked him out, but I hurt
Yeah.
him a couple of times in the fight.
Oh yeah.
I won almost every round. But in the second fight, it was really political. I knew that Don King was really interested in Mike Tyson. He didn't care about Bone Crusher, me, or Tony Tubbs, or any of the heavyweights. We was just meat getting ready to put out for Tyson to eat up. So he was setting
Oh,
all
I see
the
how that works. Yeah.
he was setting
I
all the
heard about that
contenders
sort
up
of thing.
to
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
Mike. And at the time, he was
Right.
trying to get Mike Tyson. So
Right.
the second time around, I was supposed to give Tony Tubbs a rematch. I went over this
Right.
on the show before,
Well,
and
Tony's a
they
great
didn't
fighter.
and they didn't want to give Tubbs the rematch, so Don King brought Bone Crusher in.
Right.
So everybody was on me. Me, Tim, you ain't gonna win. They ain't gonna give it to you, even if you go to the distance, because
Right.
Don King main interest is Tyson. So he
Right.
was treating me bad. He was treating me bad. And so I talked to my people. I said, I'm not fighting Bone Crusher. I fought him already. I beat him. And he's
Yeah.
a hard puncher.
Oh
No,
yeah.
I'm not going to get in there knowing I'm supposed to fight Tubbs. So we took the
Yeah.
dive, and I felt bad about it. I talked to Bone Crusher. He said, no, I knocked you out. I said, okay, Bone, I'm sorry that we had to do that. That was a plan. And so
Yeah.
they went on with Tyson. I was only going to get 50,000 to fight Tyson if I would have continued
What?
on with this approach to fight Tyson. I was only getting 50,000 in the contract.
That's weird.
So you think I'm going to get in there and fight some more guys?
No,
No.
no.
I
Tim,
told my
you know
group
why?
real quick. We got 10 seconds. I told my group, my trainer, and he said, Tim, it's cool. I said, look, I'm not going in there 10 rounds with that hard behind puncher. I did it before, and we're going to sue him later, and that's what happened.
Nice.
Listen,
Good
if
for
he
you.
knocked me
I
out,
respect you
if
even
he
more
knocked
now.
me out, I'm gonna say, okay, guys, he got me, but he didn't.
I watched those fights with Angelo Dundee. So when you fought Holmes, when the fight ended, I looked at Angelo. He said the kid beat him, but they're going to screw him on the decision.
You got it. That's why I asked you that.
I'm not going to
And
talk
then-
real long. I just
And
had a
then-
good time, and I just wanted to beat Larry Holmes because he talked negative. He downrated me, so I just wanted to give it to him. Win or lose, I just wanted to get in there with him because he treated me bad before the fight.
You won that. And with the second Bone Crusher fight with Angelo, he said to me, you know, Tim would have taken him out if Don King didn't exist. But
Right.
to go into a fight knowing that you're getting, he said he's not just fighting Bone Crusher. He's got to check behind his back for Don King.
I was a good
Don
actor.
King.
If you see me in the ring, I acted pretty good. I probably would have got a what they call them trophies you get,
An
the
Oscar?
Academy Award.
Oh, you got one.
Yeah.
You
I
got
did
that
pretty
one.
good. I did pretty good,
Yeah,
and I
so-
felt bad though. I felt bad. My mom was crying. My daughters was crying. I had to call them up and tell them what I did because I didn't tell them before the fight. And that's the way it ended out. I felt like I was some type of person that was trying to straighten out boxing. I felt that I was doing something positive, and then we probably would have benefit later. So I didn't care. I made a decision, and Bone Crusher keeps saying, Tim, I knocked you. I said, Bone, I'm telling you the truth. I met him several times, in the public, and I said, Bone, I'm serious. I said, I apologize to you, but we went down. We went down in 3. Look at the first fight. Every round almost beat. So that's what I talked to Bone Crusher about, and he still didn't want to believe it.
Maybe you
I
should
think
fight him
that's
now.
bad. That's bad.
You pitched a shutout in the first fight again.
Tim, can I ask you one
I
more
do
quick
remember.
question? You remember when Larry Holmes jumped off that vehicle and landed on Mitch Green? Was it Mitch
No,
Green he
Trev-
landed on?
Trevor.
What the hell was
Burbick.
that all about, really?
Trevor
Wait,
Burbick
what's that
and
Mitch Green?
No,
I don't
the
think
guy
that
with
was
the
Mitch
red,
Green.
the long, no, it wasn't Mitch Green.
Trevor
the guy that he
Burbick.
jumped off.
Trevor Burbick.
Yeah, Burbick.
Yeah,
that's
Trevor
it.
Burbick.
From Canada, Burbick. Yeah,
We got
Right,
to
and
put
I
on the
Canada.
act. We got to put on the act. We got to put on the
Is that
act.
an act or were they
No,
actually
no.
pissed off?
Trevor, he was pissed off because Trevor Burbick, who I knew, who was murdered by his own nephews in
Yes.
Jamaica, Trevor
Yes.
Burbick
Yeah,
was saying,
I know that.
and I spoke to Larry's wife, he was saying horrific things to Larry's wife.
Yes.
Oh.
Disgusting things.
Yes.
It had to
And
be
Holmes-
something personal because
Yo,
who
that's
does
what it
that?
was. It had to be.
You don't do that.
That's the
And
craziest
Angelo would say,
pre-conference fight thing I've ever seen.
you don't make it personal. Before the fight with Buster Douglas, with Tyson, Buster Douglas's mother died. Tyson said some terrible things to Douglas about his mother after she died, and
Wow.
Angelo just said, "Why would you do that? You don't want the guy already wants to beat you. Now you're giving him extra incentive to beat you.
Yeah.
Mothers are off limits." So it was
Wow.
ridiculous.
Well,
But I
there you
think
go. That's the end.
I was going to say that, as Angelo said, to go in, not to belabor it, but the second fight with Bone Crusher, just to have emotionally, to have being attacked like you were by Don King, to have a criminal stealing your money and threatening you. And meanwhile, there's a point, Angelo said, where a guy just goes, you know what, just leave me alone. I just want to get out of here.
Is that Don King still around, Tim? Is that guy actually still trying to do stuff?
Well, I'm sure
They
that
just put-
Eric
they
and
just put on an event last
they,
weekend.
yeah, they know more. You know what? I just left it alone. Don King was doing a lot of negative things to a lot of different people,
He's
but
a mobster.
I can't go on with my life if I keep talking about Don King. So
That's why he's still alive.
I had to make that decision and move forward. Stop talking, but you can't avoid talking. People ask you questions. What happened here? What happened there? And he's still winning. He winning the battle, and you got to keep talking about him.
Right.
I really like the guy, even though he ripped me off, because I seen inside, in close and intimate, meaning talking face to face, I seen some good in him, even though he did that stuff.
You'd
So
be the only
I
one.
tried to get him to do better. I tried to say, hey, Don, can't you do this? He was like, Timmy, he said, get out the office. When I tried to get him to do good. So and every time I see him, he give me a hug, he say hi. But even though he ripped me, I was mad about that. But I gotta go on with my life. I'm not gonna let him destroy me because I gotta have. Look what I'm doing now.
Okay.
We're on the podcast. I'm
Tim,
having fun.
can I
Get
tell you a
better,
story?
not bitter.
Tim, can I tell you a story?
Yeah,
That in the 1940s and 50s,
I wasn't born.
there was a Canadian fighter named Little Arthur King.
Okay.
And Little Arthur King was #1 ranked lightweight in the world when Ike Williams was the world champion.
Ike Williams.
And Arthur King was having trouble getting fights. He's based in Toronto. So he had to go to New York. And once he arrives in New York, there's a knock on his door where his manager's with him from Toronto. It's Blinky Palermo, who's
Oh God, Blinky.
And
I
Blinky
talked to him.
and Blinky points a gun at him and just says to the manager, "You're gone. Don't even get your bags." And so what happens is he never gets a shot at Williams, and he fights in the States. A Canadian promoter, Frank Tunney, had to pay $600,000-700,000 back then to get him out of his contract with Carbo so he could come back to live in Toronto. I met Arthur King in the 80s, and I brought this up, and he went, "I can't talk about Carbo or Palermo. I just can't." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because if I did, I'd go buy a gun and go down there and kill them."
Wow.
He said, "For what they did to me, not just denying a title fight, but the way they ruined my life and my family, how I didn't murder them is beyond me." And I wasn't the only one. He said Ike Williams ended up broke and living in a park. So
I had a face-to-face with Blinky. I had a face-to-face with him.
really,
Yeah.
tiny guy, yeah.
Well, we call him Uncle Frank, like the black boxers and stuff, and from Philly and South Philly, we call him Uncle Frank. I met him a couple of times. Yes, he approached me, but in a nice way. He approached me in a nice way and talked to me about trying to settle the lawsuit with Don. It wasn't no aggression, like really trying to get to me. But sometimes when people talk like you, they're aggressive, but you don't realize it. That when they're trying to think in their mind, you can get. But we called him Uncle Frank. I called him Uncle Frank a couple of times. Hey, and he was really nice to me, but he was serious about trying to settle the lawsuit. So I talked to him, and then after that, we just left it at that. We just left it at that.
When he came out of prison, it was Don King who hired him. And Palermo worked with Sonny Liston. And
wow,
Palermo also, he was a numbers runner in Philly, but he was also a hitman for Murder Inc. So, as was Carbo. So there's a famous story Angelo told me about him walking into a Philadelphia gym, and he said there's about 5 or 6 African Americans there working out. And he walks up to these guys and he says, "You guys all now work for Don King." And one of the men turned to him and said, "We're not boxers. We're just working out. I'm an orthodontist. That guy there is an accountant. That person over there is an actuary. He's a lawyer. We don't want to be boxers. We're just exercising." But Blinky had threatened them, like, "You got to work for Don King." "Yeah, I don't do this for a living."
Wow.
There was a lot of brothers that in a kind of not direct way, but there was some brothers, there was some Muslim boxers, and I'm just saying that maybe there was some words directed towards them, but they wouldn't bother them that much.
No, that's because of Ali with the Nation of Islam. When Ali won,
Yeah.
and when Ali beat Liston the first time, Tony Provenzano.
There was some respect between the both of them.
And Tony Provenzano and Fat Tony Salerno were in Miami Beach, and they approached Angelo and they said, we get a part of him. And Angelo said, "I'm just a trainer." And then Herbert Muhammad came out and said, "You get nothing. You've ripped off enough black fighters for the last 150 years. And the mob guy said, "Well, hey, I got guys and we're armed." And he said, "Listen, you have what across the country? 3 grand, 4,000 people. We got 85,000 Muslims who are licensed to carry firearms. If you want to fight, let's do it. You're done."
Right about that.
And they just said you're done. You get nothing out of Ali.
It wasn't worth it.
No, they would have wiped the mob out, and easily.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
you know,
No, listen, I didn't have no troubles. I didn't have no troubles real
What?
quick. I didn't have no troubles or anything. I knew the stuff was going on. They did not play either. The Italian mob, they didn't play,
no,
but
they were
there was a
serious.
lot of Muslims around, young and old. A lot of them was really serious about Islam, but you just couldn't mess with certain people.
No.
They protected them.
Well, that was the thing with Liston and Ali. People said Liston was afraid of the FOI, the Fruit of Islam, the security wing of the
They
Nation of
wasn't
Islam.
going to mess with Sonny. They loved him too. They
Right,
loved Sonny.
and I thought Sonny had the mafia behind him. Why was he afraid of
Oh,
anyone?
okay. I was young. then.
Yeah, Sonny had the mob behind him. He had Tony Accardo, the the most powerful mob boss in the history of the United States in Chicago, the outfit behind him, and he also had Palermo. He had Frankie Carbo. So he had a lot of different managers listed, and Liston was a headbreaker for the mob. He was
I
feared in
know.
prison, So and when I spoke to Muhammad, one time I said, when you went to the center of the ring for that first fight, were you really afraid of him? He said, "Are you that stupid?" He said, "Are you kidding me? I was scared shitless. I was terrified of him." But Angelo said to me, "He's older than baseball. This guy." He said, my brother Chris promoted him in the late 30s. Sailorboard Sonny Liston. He had the posters to show it. So he said, "This guy's not 32. He's in his 40s, and he hasn't trained, and he thinks he's going to take you in a round." And after the first round ended, and Muhammad comes back to the corner, Angelo slaps him on the leg and says, "How about that? You're still here." And second round, "You're still here." Third round, and then he just said, when he blinded Ali got angry and then started to call his punches. Here comes a double jab, bang bang. Here comes a right hand. Here comes a combination. He's pounding him and he's telling him what punches he's going to throw, and he lands them. So
Wow.
he was, and Ali wasn't afraid after the fight. He said he's a dirty fighter. He's got criminal elements behind him. He's got the mob behind him, and the mob tried to blind me, and Allah protected me, and I want the world to know that Sonny Liston was not even a match. That's what he said. He didn't lay a hand on me, couldn't hurt me, and
Ali wasn't worried about the mob.
no,
He wasn't. I know for a fact he wasn't
no.
worried about them. I was born and raised in South Philly. A lot of the a lot of Italian brothers, and we lived together. We lived together, and but I know he wasn't worrying about Ali. Wasn't worrying about the mob.
No.
The mob wasn't worrying about them either. So it would have had to been a fight and somebody get hurt. That's all.
That's the thing about the second fight when people say it was fixed, but I don't buy that because the mob had no reason for Liston to go down like that. Even the first fight they said was fixed. The mob would only let a title change hands if they controlled both interests of each fighter, and they didn't control Ali. And the second fight, Ali had the hernia. It was delayed 6 months. Liston stopped training, and Ali caught him with a good shot, and it was the same punch that he knocked Foreman out with. It was the same punch that he knocked out a bunch of guys with. Same punch he dropped Carl Mildenberger with. He hit that slip slide, bang, Angelo called it.
I'm a boxer. There's only 5 seconds, and I don't. It looked to me like that wasn't a hard enough punch. He could have got up. Now you could take it from there, but that punch to Ali, and I was his sparring partner, and when he fought
Later
Larry
on.
Holmes, but he was sick. But just looking at it, that's not to me. It wasn't a hard enough punch to make him stay on the canvas.
Well, Liston, I respect that. Liston's shoulders shuddered, but Angelo noticed something. He said when Liston threw his left jab, as you would know, his head was out over his front foot, his left foot, meaning he was off balance. That's why he told Ali, take a step to your right and bang him with the right hand.
And go like this, boom, boom, right hand. That's what he went.
Right, and the important thing to remember is that almost happened 10 seconds into the fight. In the first 10 seconds, when you watch the tape tonight on YouTube, first 10 seconds, Ali comes out right at Liston. Liston throws a jab. Ali slips it and then hits him with the right hand, and Liston's knees buckled. And that's 10 seconds into the fight. And I think if the fight had not been stopped, Liston still doesn't make it out of the first round. Ali was so hyped up and amped up at that point, he would have knocked him out.
It's the movement after he hit the canvas that got me thinking that, because the movement that he made afterwards, I've done that before with the Bone Crusher fight, so the referees could the feel like, and the judges feel like, hey, maybe I was really hurt. But no, you might be right, or are right. But me looking at it, I'm saying, wow.
But you know why? You know why he, like, when he fell back, he's not a good actor, Liston. You know why he said he did that later? He said, I didn't do it because my head was fine. That's not why I fell back into the canvas and rolled over. I did it because Ali's a nutcase and he's running around the ring like a madman. And how do I know he's not going to hit me when I'm down, or he's going to kick me? And if you look at him, Ali's running around the ring like a crazy man. And when he Liston said, look at the tape. I was on my feet fighting back when they stopped the fight. The fight never should have been stopped. The timekeeper, it was Nat Fleischer, who wasn't even there as an official, just as a writer, who's yelling at Walcott, who never refereed before or again, stopped the fight. The timekeeper called 10. Walcott, who was a wonderful man and a great champion, he never said, time, you go to this corner and you go to that corner. He never said to Ali, you go to the corner or it's over. Stay there. He didn't do that. Fleischer got involved. Everything got screwed up. And then the timekeeper said he was on the mat for more than 10 seconds. The fight is over. So it was a complete wash. And Ali, when I spoke to him, said his biggest regret was that Liston died in 1970 and he never got a chance to sit down and talk with him. He said, I never hated him. I never disliked him. It was all just to pump up the gate. You know, he had a bad life. And, you know, he was a victim as much as anyone else. So it was sad. And, of course, Liston got nothing for that fight. And he got nothing for the first fight because the mob took all his money and ran up charges on his.
I already died pretty much broke. Is that not true?
Yeah,
Luke?
he was
broke. Like the guy was actually broke.
Yeah, he was broke. He had no money. The mob had stolen all his money. And
that's what I heard.
There was nothing he could do. And he had other fights, but he got nothing for them. And they stole his money throughout his career. They just used him. And typical mob, once we use you and you're done, too bad. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And so Liston, when he wanted to, you know, when he moved to Vegas, he wanted to be a Shylock. He wanted to be a loan shark. And they said, you're just muscle for hire. That's all you are. And he said, well, I'll go to the press and say that to these guys. And as Tim said, these guys don't make idle, right? They don't say, we're going to do this. You just end up dead. And that's what happened.
Yeah, they don't tell you in advance.
Yeah, no, never. I mean, I've never known, and Angelo said this, they've never known a mob guy to make an idle threat. They just do it.
They just do it.
So you know.
I was born and raised 5 minutes from Angelo Bruno, Nicky Scarfer, where they used to be. We used to walk 3 minutes. Huh?
You know Nicky Scarfo? that guy's a serious cat.
Listen, no, I met him before. But what I'm saying, they're only 3 minutes away from where I was born and raised. Matter of fact, my grandmom lived on this block. All you had to do was walk 2 minutes down and you're in the Italian neighborhood.
Yeah, and Scarfo was the one who had Angelo Bruno killed. And in fact, you can trace the...
I'm not speaking on all that.
I don't want to talk about this anymore, Lou.
You can trace the Philadelphia Mafia involvement in boxing all the way back to the second Tunney Dempsey fight with Max Boo Boo Hoff, who was a Jewish mobster in Philly. And when they wouldn't let Dempsey fight in New York because he wouldn't fight the black fighter Harry Wills, they moved the fight. They had to move the fight within a week or 2 weeks to another location. And Boo Boo Hoff said, don't worry, you can bring it to Philadelphia. But we got to book the stadium. I'll get the stadium. We got to get the commission. I've got the commission.
You're talking about a Jewish guy.
Yeah, Boo Boo Hoff.
I was born and raised right near the Jewish market.
Yeah, Max
right there.
Boo Boo Hoff was a big-time mobster there.
Oh, okay.
So, you know,
wow.
So you go back.
Wow.
not
No, the Jewish had a market right where my block. I lived on
Right.
in between 7th and 6th. Right on 7th was the Jewish market, and every time Christmas come, they put lights up and
yeah.
everything. It was cool. We worked, and I told on the show before. I mentioned that a lot of the young blacks worked for the Jewish on the Jewish market. We did stuff for the Jewish people in the Jewish market. Yep,
Yeah,
that's history, man. This is cool. I like this.
There was a fighter in Philadelphia. I'm not going to make it a long story, I promise. But named Owen Ziegler, fought in the 1880s. And
shit.
So he's fighting then. And his career is moving along, you find out, because he's got Philadelphia muscle behind him. So people in New York, listen to the people in Philly, and this was the 1880s, and they're trading off fighters.
Damn.
Hey guys, I just want to say something quick. This is the longest I've ever not heard Mike Orr say something. Mike, are you alive over there?
Honestly, no, I'm just listening to the history, man. It's great. It's good.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, we're completely blown away between Tim and Lou.
Honestly,
This is a real pleasure.
Before we get
on, we need to talk more.
Before we continue with the history, just let me talk about the fights quick. I'll just mention them. I'll just mention them and get them out of the way.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. That's it. We'll do it. Guys, we missed the Frazier Clark fight. It already happened, so I'm not going to really talk about it. I'm just going to tell you, go and watch it. Caroline Dubois, Aaron McKenna's on this one.
Here.
Vidal Riley, Isaac Chamberlain. This card was packed. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, it was this afternoon. Title was up for grabs. The WBC International Middleweight was vacant. McKenna, Lima. This one was good, guys. Just go and watch it. Next one. We got to talk about it. Tim Tszyu, Carlos Ocampo coming up tomorrow. This one's great, guys. Also, we got Justin Frost taking on Hassan Hamdan for the Australian Super Light title. And then we also have Paisley Heppy taking on Troy Pilcher for the Australian National Boxing Federation Queensland Heavy title. So you guys can check that one.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, that was a mouthful, eh? That one's getting underway.
Can I ask a question of everyone?
Yes.
Crawford Spence. I got Crawford. Who's everyone else have? Or is it too soon to pick?
I think real quick, I think that because I'm so I'm so aggressive with defense, they both need defense. They both good offense.
Yeah.
I don't see the old time stuff where they keep their hands closed. Anybody could get hit and lose that fight. That's the only thing I got to say. And I'm a good defensive boxer. I'm okay offense. And these young people today, and always on the show, I'll be saying defense is really a problem on the day's boxers. The old timers used to do stuff like put their hands up and, whip around and stuff like that. Now everybody just doing this.
Yeah, that's right. That's it.
So anybody can win that fight if they get caught. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Guys, get ready for this one. Progress.
Whoa, what's 8 p.m. tomorrow?
8 p.m. Progress Zorilla card. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Regis Progress.
Yes.
And, I like Regis.
Danilito. Yeah, Danilito.
Danilito Zorilla. Yeah, that one's for the WBC World Super Light. Ramila Ali is taking on Jalissa Guzman for the IBF Intercontinental Super Bantam title. Then, the bottom of this card all filled up with some, nice up-and-comers, man. Jenny Fuchs is on here. Aaron Aponte. We got Shakram Gyasev. So this card's pretty stacked too. This one gets ready at underway at 8 o'clock. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. What can we say? DAZN. They're always coming through with great events to watch. So guys, remember that we got one in the morning happening in Australia. We got one happening tomorrow night, and there was a card today that we did miss. So I'll let you guys go and watch that. I'm not going to tell you because I already know the outcome of all of it. But I'm going to let you guys out there go and watch it because, it was a good card.
We can get the cards because we're not rich like you. Can get every show and stuff.
You
and Graham, y'all get all the shows and stuff.
Did you see? Mike,
everybody picks a guy.
Did you see the weigh-in with Frazier Clark?
No, I missed that. Was it another slap off?
What weight class is it? What weight class?
Frazier Clark looks up at the guy and goes, "Ooh, he's a big boy."
Oh, he's heavyweight. Yeah. Heavyweight. It's heavyweight.
Yeah,
Mario, I think they're super heavyweights actually. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, these guys are big boys, and you know the guy that he took on is a veteran in this game, man. He's been around a real long time.
Yeah.
What is it, Marusa? Walk.
Marius Walk.
Yeah, Walk. Yeah, man. This guy's no joke. Like, he's a big boy. You know, he's been around a long time in this game, and honestly, wow.
71, I believe.
Yeah.
So you're not going to tell us who won?
Yeah.
No.
Like,
Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? Should I
Walk
say?
doesn't win often anymore.
No, I don't want to know.
Okay.
I
Fraser
want to do my own picks.
Fraser Clark on points.
Want to
Really?
start with Tim with his pick of the
Fraser
weekend.
Clark took it on points, guys. That's the outcome of that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a shocker.
Actually, it is a shocker that that means Fraser Clark is now improved to 7-0.
Somebody said the Wayne was crazy, huh?
Oh, totally. The guy he fought was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blown away he won.
6'7.5" with an 82-inch reach.
That's good for Team GB, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Did Caroline Dubois come through?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, come on.
Wow.
Man.
You know
I
what?
really like what she's saying lately. I mean, she's saying the right things.
Yeah, that went the distance as well. Her opponent was down in round 5, and went the distance.
Good for her.
Yeah,
Did you
she's
ever see that film of the clip of one of my favorite fighters, Ann Wolfe, and she knocked out Vonda?
And Wolf.
Yeah,
Woo.
Vonda, whatever her name was, White or something, or Rhymes or something, and Vonda Rhymes was like 6'7".
Yeah, that was the nastiest shot. Like, whoa.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
She was a Caucasian girl, right?
And she was out for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, like dropped
I
her.
seen that big tall girl. And Wolf started jumping around the ring,
Well, yeah,
right?
and when I spoke to Ann, she said that she said, I'm just waiting. She's gonna throw that right hand, and then she's gonna drop it. She's not gonna bring it back. And the minute she throws it, I flipped it, and that was it. And I tell you,
How you get a special conversation with Ann Wolf, and we couldn't? How you do
What
that?
do you mean we couldn't? I can get that.
Oh, okay.
yeah, Ann
okay.
Wolf's
all
on
right.
Facebook. She's also she's in the Hall of Fame, which is great. She's
Yes.
a very, very kind person.
She's tough.
She's very
She's tough.
Honestly,
What you think about her and the gold medalist girl? What you think?
And we'll
She tougher than the gold medalist girl? What's her name?
Clarissa Shields.
Yeah. I think Ann Wolf tougher than her.
I would never bet against Ann Wolf ever. She's fundamentally
Oh,
strong.
wait a minute. You don't think
I'm
that
with,
Ann
I'm
Wolf
with Lou then. I would never bet against her because I'm with Lou. Guaranteed.
Yeah, Ann
get
Wolf-
bet against who?
no,
Ann
never
Wolf's
bet
great.
against Ann Wolf.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
right.
Yeah,
I
no.
would never bet against Ann Wolf because Lou said never bet against Ann Wolf.
That knockout is like on every highlight for women's fighting, and it was on there up until Estrada knocked that girl out with 7 punches, and now that one is getting talked about. That was bad matchmaking, first of all.
That was mean. That was
Yeah.
mean.
That was
That
mean.
was
You know
that
what?
was Estrada girl. I told you, Mikey, about Estrada.
You know, I got to tell you though.
I told him, Tim. I told the world about Estrada. Ask the boss over there.
No.
Whatever. What, you got me on this?
You up there? Listen, you up there? You up
How
there?
about this guy? How about this guy?
Okay, you Brady bunch.
Hey,
All right.
hey, girl.
I got to tell you though, Ann Wolf said I couldn't have hit that lady any harder if I was in my car.
Oh my God, that was a nasty. Like,
Whoa,
she
nice
was so out. She was like so out that her feet came up from underneath her. And
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It was like, woo.
That's the way Joe Louis.
That was a hell of a knockout there. That
That's
was a hell of a
literally,
knockout.
that's the way. That's the kind of knockout that I look for my knockout of the week show. Like that's what I want to see.
Do you think that if that girl would have had more, not Ann Wolf, the other girl, had more training or more somebody that was really good in the corner, that she would have beaten?
No.
She had everything. She had arm length. She had everything.
You know
She
what?
just couldn't fight like Ann Wolf.
And she didn't have balance. And you mentioned the fighter earlier,
Okay.
Walk, who's tall. Tall guys like David Price, who's 6'9", and guys like Tyson.
How tall was she?
She was 6'7" or something.
Yeah,
6'6".
something like that.
But she had no balance, and this is what kills me.
Must have big feet.
Yeah, and when people say, Tyson Fury's a boxer like Muhammad Ali, it's not even remotely true.
No.
No one was a boxer like Muhammad Ali. No one. You can't compare Tyson Fury doesn't go 2 rounds with Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad would have stood there and yelled,
Oh my God. That guy, you would have smoked him.
Yeah, Ali, all those guys would have smoked him. Tim would have taken Fury in a couple of rounds. I mean, a guy like that who's easy to hit and easy to knock down, So yeah, those guys don't compare.
They don't stand.
It wouldn't have been easy. It wouldn't have been easy because I was with him. He is tough. He has plenty of heart.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been easy. I can't predict right now.
But
I see all the situations where I can land shots. So I think that it would be easy for me to land shots.
You also
could punch
effectively moving backwards, which most guys can't.
Right.
Okay.
I think we could probably talk for another hour about the current heavyweight division. What a mess! What a mess!
Yeah.
Like how
you got to talk more on next week's show.
Yeah. Well, we
I just want to know. Yeah, Graham, are we gonna have predictions?
Oh, so anyway, Lou had asked about Terrence Bud Crawford, and that's who I'm picking in that fight. By the way, between Errol Spence. Only because he's got that anger. He's got that fire in him, if you ask me.
He's got such explosive energy that can come at the drop of a hat. And it's vicious. It's vicious.
See, although Spence is the quicker man.
Yes. Yes.
But
it's all going to boil down to who gets hit because, like I keep saying,
that's boxing.
And every time I keep saying the defense. If Spence don't keep his hands in the right butt, but what's the other guy? He keep his hands up more than Spence. Yeah. He does. He keeps his hands here. Yeah. Spence be like this more.
And he's ambidextrous. He can fight southpaw or orthodox, and he's happy doing both. He's actually better as a southpaw.
What-handed is he? What hand is he really?
He said he's naturally ambidextrous. He can do both.
Right. Okay.
And he's always been that way.
He's like a switch hitter in baseball.
Or in Hollywood.
Well, when the ball don't hit you, if the ball hits you, you in trouble. You got to have a defense also.
Well, Tim, that's what Angelo Dundee would say to kids when he would tell them, amateurs, you shouldn't be in the program, because he would say, you could really punch, but you have no defense. And he said, you have to have skill, because if you hit a guy your best shot and he's still there, you have to have the technique to beat him on points, concede the knockout. And he said, you don't have the defense, and you can't learn defense as a pro. That's when you get killed.
Right.
Not tiddlywinks. This is a sport where people get hurt badly. Guys like Tim.
Wait a minute. Real quick, I do believe you can learn anything. All doing is up to you to accept it.
Right.
You could be 100 years old. You can learn how to keep your hand here, but it's up to you to keep it there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that it is over after a certain age. You can always learn. I don't care if you're 100 years old. Well, you keep your hands up there like this.
But you were a master boxer, so that's there are not many people that had those kind of skills then.
Exactly.
In any weight.
Yeah.
My defense kept me in the game.
I'm going to go with Bud Crawford too. Bud Crawford on that one, guys. I'll take Bud because of the defense, Tim, because he keeps his hands higher. Errol's more like down here.
I think their defense is like the same.
Yeah.
No, Crawford is a little bit more tighter than the other boxer. He is. Crawford, he's a little bit more tighter.
Yeah.
But when the punches come, you got to be able to engage with the punches, and neither one of them engages properly. Now this is a typical thing you do. Put your hands up, but there's more to it. You got to learn how to block and counter. Keep your hand up, counter. They don't know how to do that. They just know how to keep their hands up.
Right.
That's what I seen.
That's why Duran was so great. Duran was almost impossible. Ray Leonard said Duran was the best defensive fighter he ever faced, even better than Benitez, because Duran was almost impossible to catch with a flush shot.
Because Benitez was a mover defense.
A radar.
He was a mover defense. Yeah. You couldn't hit him. Duran was more in tight defense.
Right.
Move and slip. Yeah, hey, this is really good. I like this.
We have somebody asking a question. They want to know what you guys think about Zoo and Ocampo.
Tim Zoo by knockout.
Yeah.
By knockout.
I got the thunder from down under. Tim Tszyu to take it down. Knockout, Lou. You're on it. Tim Tszyu to take it down. I told you 2 years ago. You've seen it, Lou. On my I told you he's going to be a world champion, Tim. I told everybody he's doing it right now.
But his name is Tim. He's going to win.
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
His name is Tim. He's going to
He
win.
has to. He's got
Tim
to
is
uphold the
going to
tradition
win.
of Tim's.
God, I like that action.
He
Yeah,
comes from a fighting family,
That was
man.
quick, man. Thanks, Tim.
Before
He eats, lives, and sleeps boxing. So
before we back out of this episode, what are your comments regarding Teofimo Lopez? I mean, he wins the battle, but loses the war, if you ask me. He's vacated his title, right?
Mhm.
And says he wants, in order to get back into the ring, wants a 5-year deal, $100 million. Is he that big of a draw? My answer is no. I don't know if you're following that.
Yeah.
Who?
I heard
What?
he retired. I thought he retired. Then he wants his money. But boxing, as Tim knows, comes down to one, as we all know, asses in the seats. So there were so many great fighters or good fighters over the years that would say, well, I want this amount and I want that amount and I win. Winky Wright was a brilliant fighter, but doesn't put asses in the seats. Guys who put asses in the seats and scored your,
I hate to cut you off. Lopez is a very good boxer.
Yeah.
I think he need to wait a little bit longer just to get his greatness. He's good. If he wait a little bit long and go along with some stuff just to see what it's all about, I do believe that he can probably get what he wants.
Are we talking about
He
Teo?
went up to a bigger weight. He didn't really. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it Teo Firmo you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear anything about this guy.
Sometimes you gotta wait. Sometimes you gotta wait just to get that bigger picture.
Well,
and he's good. Everybody loves him. But he might have to just wait just a little bit longer to get his Muhammad Ali level.
You know what?
I'm just saying.
I'll tell you,
go ahead.
After last weekend though, he looks good at 140.
He does.
You like that? Did you like that?
He looks good at 140.
man,
I'm
he
not
was an
gonna
underdog.
lie. He does
Listen.
look good at 140.
Underdog, Tim, and I took him down. He was an underdog.
He did look good. He did look good, but against much tougher opponents, he's going to have to need me to show him this.
Yeah.
To keep showing it. Do you see him do that?
That's right.
You see him do that near the end of the fight?
Yeah, and that's what you taught him on the street. Remember?
He was showing.
He did that.
And I know he'd be doing that in the workouts and stuff.
Tim,
I know he'd be doing that.
you taught him that on the street. There's that video, remember? And he kept it.
Showed
He kept
him
it.
that.
So look,
Did he do that a lot? Did he do it a lot, or just a
a
little?
little bit near the end.
Okay.
So
He did it at the end.
here's
He
the
did it
big
at the
question to end off the show. Then, is the Crawford Spence fight worth $85 pay-per-view US
No.
dollars without them announcing an undercard?
No.
That's a
I
good
don't think so.
question. But I tell you, I have a friend downtown who has an Android box. So I'm going to go to his house and watch it. I probably shouldn't say that, but
that is the discussion that's going on right now. Like,
That's how I watch him.
you better.
It's not Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard.
Right.
It's surely not that.
No, that's right.
Um,
That was
It's not Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray. It's not that type of fight. But it's this modern day fight of people that support each one of them. But to me, it's not as big and great as Sugar Ray or Tommy Hearns or Benitez or that type of fight. It's not as big as those guys.
Tim, I remember when Leonard fought Hagler. I went down here to Maple Leaf Gardens to get tickets for closed circuit. People were waiting in line, fighting each other to get tickets.
wow.
It was.
There's no way I'm missing this fight. Get out of my way. You already got 4 tickets. You can't get any more. I want my ticket. So you had to see that fight, and I went to see it. I'm glad I did. But
Yo, can I get the juice?
Crawford and Spence is a great fight, but they made the fans wait so long for it. The same as Pacquiao and
That juice
Mayweather.
sounded heavy there, Neil.
Hmm?
I'm talking to Neil.
That-
Sorry. I said that juice. It sounded like that juice had a lot of weight to it that you put down on the table there, and it sounded very
No,
tender.
it's actually nice lemonade. I like lemonade in the summertime.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, Lou. I just had to call him
Oh,
out.
no
on that.
problem.
I
I was
called him out
when I was
I
8
called him
years
out
old.
because he didn't give us all beer.
I'd gladly give you all a beer. I'll deliver it right now if you really need it.
Cool,
Hey.
you got our address. I'm waiting.
All right, let's
Right.
You must be from Canada somewhere.
Let's
Hey,
go.
our beer's good, Tim. We got good
Hey,
beer up
Tim,
here.
one last thing.
You in Canada?
Yeah.
We're
Tim.
closing out. We're closing out the show.
Go ahead. Go
Remember,
ahead.
you remember
Go ahead.
Frank
Yeah,
the
Toronto,
Animal
Canada.
Fletcher?
Toronto, Canada.
Frank the Animal Fletcher.
Yeah.
Russell Peltz at him. I saw Frank the Animal Fletcher fighting on TV one day, and
He's still in jail. He's still in
that's
jail,
right. And he was fighting.
Yeah.
He was fighting Juan Rodan, the middleweight.
Okay.
Built like a
Rodan.
built like a Buick. And Rodan hit him a punch, and Fletcher did like 2 back somersaults across the ring. And when the round ended, the doctor came over and said, and it was in Vegas, and said, "You know where you are?" He said, "New York," and he said, "No." And his manager said, "Wait a minute. He's not good in geography. He didn't know where he was before the fight. The punch didn't make any difference."
So if he would have got it right, they would have been worried.
Yeah, that's right.
I know him and his brother were really good fighters. I think Anthony Fletcher was a much better skillful boxer.
Yep.
He also was incarcerated, and I think he got out. They was really nice guys. They just got caught up in bad stuff. They're from West Philly. I'm from South Philadelphia. They have North Philly, where Joe Frazier is. Then you have Germantown, Ivan Robinson. So there's boxers in all those different areas that did really. Saad Muhammad is from South Philly, right near the Italian market.
You know, one of the
The Everett brothers,
William Detloff, the writer, told me the problem is
Jeff Chandler.
Yeah.
We all from the
Jeff
same.
Chandler. He was a great fighter.
Yeah,
when
we all from the same, like 10 minutes away.
when these
Wow.
fighters
10
end up
minutes away.
going to jail, they train them.
Say that again.
They train them in skills that they can't use when they get out. And
So like Bernard Hopkins.
well,
Bernard Hopkins is from Germantown area.
He went to the big house and he learned how to fight.
right, but that was one of the
Yes.
few other ones who were like Matthew Saad Muhammad learned carpentry or different things, and just difficult to get a job when you come out like that. That's why a lot of fighters do strong.
I didn't know he was incarcerated. I was his sparring partner, and I used to go down there near the Italian market where they had the gym, Juniper Gym, Lou Bellafury. They had the gym down there,
And Nick-
and that's where a lot of the lighter weights. Jeff Chandler was with Saad Muhammad. They was in the same gym. That's when I was an amateur. I was sparring with Saad Muhammad every day, and I met Jeff and the Everett brothers. They were all there. That was cool, man. I'm blessed.
Nick Belfiore,
Wow,
his
sure.
brother, should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a great trainer. Nick Belfiore, the trainer, his brother should be in the Hall of Fame. The guy could train.
There you go. His brother name is Joe, right?
Nick.
No, Nick was the older brother.
Right, that's right.
Joe was, he was the really boxer. He was the one that, you're right. His name was Joe, right? Yeah. I was with them a lot, man. Joe was quiet. Nick was kind of quiet, but then when he get that Italian anger, he'll let you know what time it is.
Walk around.
Yep. Alfonso Evan was there.
Yep.
Saad Muhammad, the Everett brothers. I can't believe, man. I've been in a lot of different gyms. I'm blessed, man.
Yes.
I don't even know
Well,
if I belong.
we're blessed, Tim, to have you doing that so we can watch as I was a child going, wow.
Well, we got to
That
come
guy's
back
blowing
next
my
week.
mind.
Let's all try
We
to
are
be
the
back
best
here
ones.
next week
We
and
will.
have a big
We
show.
will next week. That's it. We will next week. Lou, you coming
You're
back next
amazing,
week?
man.
Yeah, I'd
Lou,
love to.
the best.
Okay,
Big
awesome.
Orr.
Awesome. Well, guys,
Stumpy Graham.
you know what it is,
Mr.
man. We
Lou.
ran this one a little late today. It was
Deal.
great. It was a great talk.
Super
Thank
Tim.
you for coming
Happy
and joining.
Father's Day, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy
Happy
Father's
Father's
Day.
Day.
Father's
Thank
Day, all
you.
the fathers out there, guys.
To all
Have
the
a good
Talkin'
one.
Fight fans, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Friday Night Panel. We'll see you next week. Same time, same panel, new topics. You know what it is. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.